what you would say a babu, so I have more of papers with me rather than the PPT. I'll begin with that. What I've come to talk to you about is leadership and crisis. Two very different words, very opposite connotations, very opposite meanings, but yet very, very related to each other. Let me begin with a simple question, asking you a very negative thing, but something that should make you think. Let's say this auditorium, this beautiful auditorium, unfortunately suffers a huge fire. What would be the first reaction that some of us would have? Some of us would feel scared, they would cower down, sit in their seats. Some would be scared and they would just look around for help. Some of us would take out our cell phones and start shooting reels and videos, which is what most of us do now. But some of us would rise to the occasion. They would look around, they would find an exit, they would help these young children out of here, they would look to their teachers, see if they can find them, find some authority figure, and help people move out of this auditorium. These last category of people are what we call as leaders. People who see a problem, who motivate other people alongside, who act in those decisive moments, and then get some results. These are leaders. And I'm here to talk about these leaders, their leadership skills, and how they react to various crises. So what is a crisis? A crisis is any situation where you are unprepared, you have to take quick, calibrated decisions, and you have to overcome the situation. It can be a very regular affair, something as simple as running out of bread in your house when you have to go for an early morning meeting or you have to rush to school. There's a crisis, there's no food at home. It can be something as complex as a food shortage across the continent, something we see in Africa still. And it could be something very normal in our lives that we don't even think about it a lot, but still it takes place. The point is, when crises come, the way we react to them shows and impacts us as humans. On a daily basis, all of us take decisions, all of us decide between one way or another. And these branching out of our decisions slowly shapes us into what we are today as individuals. Your response to any crisis, a smaller one or a bigger one, changes the way that you are today. Now, when we talk about crisis, I'll give you an example of my own. On the 10th of November last year in 2025, there was a blast outside the Red Fort. All of you must have heard about it. I was the first officer on the site because that was my jurisdiction. When I reached the site, there was bedlam, absolute mayhem. There was fire everywhere, there were people who were injured, there were cars that were damaged, there was carnage. But the point is, how I reacted in that situation formed me as an officer that I am here today. Whether it was evacuating the injured out of that spot, whether it was making sure that we took away the people who were crowding around there so that they don't get injured either by the fire or maybe by an ancillary blast or by any other impact that is some sort of fear in their hearts which remains. The way we reacted as a team, the way I was guided by my seniors and I was helped by my juniors, together helped us overcome this crisis. And that is exactly what leadership in crisis is all about. Leadership in crisis is about knowing your own self, giving yourself that 1 minute of calm where you think about how you will respond to a situation, deciding your course of action, deciding where you want to go, and then taking those decisions after you have communicated them to your team. One of the biggest problems that we face is when there is a crisis, all of us start to panic. And it's not something that is unique to me. It's for all of us. Even the best of us see situations where we think, kya kare, kaise kare, kya hoga. But the point is, leaders are those who dare to take that step beyond these thoughts. All of us have it in us to respond to every situation. We are educated enough, we are well known, we understand things in a better way. But the point is, whether we are able to formulate those two thoughts that tell us that this is how we need to act. And that act alone, it could be right, it could be wrong. Nobody's saying that you have to be right all the time. Sometimes your actions may not lead to the desired result. Yet, your act of taking a decision there and then and going through it is what defines you as a leader. A leader is not always successful, but he's somebody who takes his team forward. You may be realizing later on that you have made a mistake, you've done something which you shouldn't have, But at that point of time, your call, your decision was what mattered. Standing in a state of confusion before your team, not being able to decide, not being able to tell them what to do, is worse than taking a wrong decision. When we talk about crisis, there is also crisis in leadership. The leaders themselves become unsure of what to do. They are not able to communicate their plans to their team, and they are not able to make sure that what they want to be done is actually done. Another example I would like to give is just this year, in the month of January, we were told to assist the civic authorities in demolition of a religious structure right next to another bigger one. Unfortunately, the structure, because of the way it was designed, it became a big issue, and that's why when we reached there, the police force, and we started acting, there was a huge amount of resistance and ultimately stone pelting on the entire team. We faced this stone pelting for quite a long period of time, ultimately getting control over it, and we were able to do what was legally supposed to be done as per the court's orders. But the point is, when we went there, we initially started on a note where when the stone pelting went, the entire force ran backwards. They did not want to face these people who were stopping them in doing their legitimate duty. And that, at that point of time, was a crisis in leadership, because nobody was ready to tell these people that no, it has to be done. Some of us stood up, we said that no, we have to do it. We took charge, we decided that we would gather the people again and we would take them head on. And we did. And ultimately the objective was completed. This is something very similar to what you would see in the armed forces doing, although their efforts are much greater and their challenges are much bigger. But nonetheless, any leader who says that he has performed without thinking would be lying to you. You need time to settle down, to give yourself that calm moment where you decide your future actions and then act. And that by itself is leadership and in crisis. Is leadership about a position? No. Just because I'm a police officer, I'm at a rank where people are supposed to listen to me does not make me a leader. It is my actions, it is my thoughts, it is my words, and most of all, it is leading by example, the examples that I set. If I am late to my office every day, I cannot expect others to be on time. If I am late every day to some event that I have to get to, I cannot ask others to be on time. If I am doing something wrong and then telling others or preaching others that this is how you should act, that's not how it works. If we talk about the great leaders of India, Gandhiji led by example. He sat on a fast himself and then asked others to join him. His non-violence preachings today reach the world all over follows it and takes an example out of it because he led by doing what he believed. Similarly, leaders have to act. They have to act in the best interests of their teams, of the people. They may know the people, they may not. For example, recently, most of you would have seen the television. We had massive protests in Delhi itself at the Jantar Mantar. Now, people who were there, the officers who were there, they did not know the people across. But that doesn't mean that they didn't act. It was their job to stop public property from being destroyed. They acted the way they thought deemed fit. Whether it was correct or it was not is for a matter of debate later on. But the point is, when we talk about leadership and crisis, we have three things that have to be done by each one of us. The first thing is to think about the actions that we want to take. The second is to think about those who are with us. Because we alone cannot perform a task. Any single person is not as strong. It is only when they come together as a team, when we come together as a team, that we are able to take on any challenge that has been thrown at us. These challenges can be small, they can be big, but the point is one person's power is not enough. But when you come together in a team, it's 1 and 1, so it becomes 11. And that's where leadership comes in. A person who can lead by example, a person who can motivate others to follow what they are. I'll give you another example. One of the most challenging times that anybody faces as a student would be during the exams. You feel stressed, you feel that I'm not prepared enough, there is a fear of the unknown, the question paper that will come in front of you, and yet all of us, when they go and sit down in that question paper room and we start writing, there is a moment of calm just before the exam question paper is handed to you. Why? That is your inner self telling you that I'm prepared, whatever may come. That is the moment of leadership. For your inner self, you have convinced yourself that, okay, I gave it my best. I studied for these many hours and I completed this part of the syllabus and I did this and I did that. And now I will do whatever it takes to get through this. That moment is when you have defined leadership in your own life. When we talk about crisis situations, crisis is unknown. It can happen anytime, anywhere. It can happen when you are least expecting it, or when you already know you are in the middle of one, and suddenly you realize you are in one. For example, right now I'm in a crisis, because I don't know what to say. I have so many students sitting in front of me who want to hear some good points from me. What have I prepared? Where are my papers? But the point is how I am reacting, how I am telling you what I want to say is the resolution of this crisis for me. I am a leader by saying the fact that I am able to communicate to you that I want to do this and this is how I feel you should respond to issues in your life. Most of us, when we talk about leadership, we think that you have to have a position attached to it. We see political leaders, we see, I'm sure you have houses, school houses, so you have captains and vice captains, and you all look up to them. You have sports teams, so you have the captain of a sports team and vice captains and so on and so forth. But no team can perform only on the basis of this captain or this vice captain. If it's a basketball team, the other 3 players are just as important. If it's a football team, the other 10 players are just as important. That one person alone cannot bring everything to the table. When we talk about the recently concluded Football World Cup, you would have seen that there are some teams that have excellent players, but that one person alone cannot pull that team all through. He needs the support of others. And that's where leadership comes in. He has to take everybody along with him. And that's why some teams do better and some teams are not able to do as much, because that one person defines how and in which way he takes his team along. There's a very simple thing that comes along with leadership, and that point is motivation. You have to motivate people. Motivation is not just by words, it's not just by saying, we will do this, it is also by example. You have to show to them that you are ready to do the same things that you ask of them. Something that is very true in the armed forces as also in the police force. When we go in for our trainings, we are asked to jump the same ditch of 10 feet that somebody who is recruited at the constable level is supposed to. We are asked to climb that same rope of 30 feet that a constable is expected to. We are supposed to do the same drills that we are expecting our subordinate staff to do. Why? Because we have to show to them that I can do it just as much as you. I am not preaching, I am acting. And that is the whole point where leadership comes in. Why do our army personnel, our officers have to go through long training periods at the academy? It's not because they have to just show that we are officers. They have come after some recruitment tests, they have done, their brains have worked, they have written the exams, they have qualified them. But more so because they have to prove to their force that tomorrow when it comes, they have the ability in it to climb that mountain when it comes, to have courage under that barrage of bullets when it comes, and to have the courage to lead these people into a battle when it is required. That is true leadership, and that is when in a crisis they are able to respond. In a gathering of students coming from various armed forces schools and the educational societies, it is very tough for me to mention anything and say that you would not know about the heroic names of Captain Saurabh Kalia or PVC, Mr. Vikram Batra, and so on and so forth. All of you would have heard the stories. All of you would know about their valor. They are leaders, they are rejoiced and they are chosen and honored every day, not just because of the way that they worked, but because of the way they acted. They took themselves, put themselves into a situation, they guided their men, they guided themselves, they acted beyond their duty, took whatever it had to prove that even in crisis, leadership will only come when you have convinced yourself and you have convinced your men, your women, or people who are with you, your followers, to work with you as a team and to give effective results. Thank you.